Hello and welcome to Pod Popper's Place and a giveaway hop featuring Crackerbox and Suzy Stamps. A $25 gift certificate to Crackerbox and Suzy Stamps is available and generously donated by Crackerbox and Suzy Stamps. You can shop their snarky and whimsical one-of-a-kind stamps at rubberartstamps.com. To be entered into the drawing, just make sure to hop along and comment on each video along in the hop. Crackerbox and Suzy Stamps generously donated stamps for us to use for this hop, and I couldn't decide between these two awesome ladies and their very different looks. The first one reminds me of an old 50s ad for coffee, and the second one just makes me laugh because she just looks like she's having the best time ever. So to create a focal point for these two special stamps, I wanted to create a mask with items that most people have in their home and see what one works best. So I don't have a mask that you can buy, like one of the plastic ones that's pre-made, which are great, but it's just another tool that I haven't purchased yet. So what I did was I created a mask from masking paper and also from some cardstock using the circle die cuts and some pixie spray. For the first one, I used some colors that remind me of very retro colors from the 50s, bright and cheerful, but also a little subtle. The second one, I used brighter, more cheerful colors. They're all Stampin' Up! Colors. The first ones are Grapefruit Grove, Coastal Cabana, Flirty Flamingo, and the second one is Lovely Lipstick, Rich Razzleberry, and Crushed Curry. Of course, the best thing is the big reveal and seeing that nice, clean, crisp white line underneath. Overall, the masking paper had a much nicer line. The cardstock and pixie spray worked well also, but it did leave a little bit of residue behind, but I was able to clean that up quickly with a good gum eraser. The stamps don't have a sticky back, so in order to hold them in place in my Stamparatus, I just used a temporary glue dot. I used Memento black ink in order to be able to use my alcohol markers to color in, and I also inked the stamp several times trying to get the shirt a nice crisp black print, but I did realize that I think because it's kind of an old-fashioned kind of look, it wasn't coming in quite as crisp and clean as I wanted it to, but I think for the overall effect for this stamp, it actually works very well. I am also always impressed with how well red rubber stamps just print out more nicely. They don't tend to widen the lines or spread out a little bit sometimes where the clear photopolymer stamps can do that. I don't usually leave my coloring in because I am definitely not an expert, and I always struggle with skin and hair colors, but I just wanted you to see how I kept layering and layering on different skin tones. I just feel like skin tones are so varied and there's just so many different nuances in every skin tone, and so I kind of played around back and forth with that. I feel like skin tone is something that you can always add more color to get a deeper, darker, richer tone. I've watched a lot of Sandy Allnock videos where she adds purple to the skin tone, and I always get very nervous with that. So the only purple so far I've ever tried to use is this dusty rose color that Copic has, and it does add a little bit of a dark purple undertone for the shading. I sped this video up 8 times so you can see how slow of a colorist I really am. Haha. For this gal's shirt, because there are no real definite lines showing where her shirt kind of ends and begins, I made it look like she has a tank top on, but I also think that if you wanted to make her look like she had long sleeves on, you could easily do that by just drawing in a cuff on her left hand and then just coloring her whole arm to make it look like she's wearing a long sleeve top. Rather than adding additional colors, I used the same Lovely Lipstick and Rich Razzleberry shades for her shirt, her lips, her earrings, and her fingernails, and also the headband in her hair. The headband in her hair isn't super obvious, so you could just make it part of her hair, I think, if you wanted to, without adding the headband color in, but I liked the headband here. I just thought it was really extra cute. Since there was no definite line ending where the stamp was, I really liked the almost watercolor look of the blending out of the pens into the white, so at the bottom of the stamp, so it just kind of made it look like it was intentional. And on the second card, because it was more finite line with her shirt, I ended up doing something a little bit different to kind of make that not look so harsh. As you can see by the stack of pens collecting on my desk, this process literally takes me like an hour to color, so you're welcome for getting it down to less than 10 minutes because wouldn't that be torture to watch? Please excuse my lovely bandage on my finger that's like right in camera's view. I am currently giving my cat medication for a UTI, and as you can see by the bandages, it has not been going so well. For both the stamped images, I did use my Jelly Roll pen to put white on their teeth and just make them stand out nice and bright. On the second image, I really wanted to go for that Stepford Wives kind of look. I just thought she has such that sly, don't look at me the wrong way or I might kill you kind of look to her, and I thought it was really super fun and super funny. I think every woman can identify with feeling that way at one point in her life. Am I right? So I am a huge advocate for small businesses. I sell my cards in a small business here in a small town in Iowa. And so I love that they create their own images at Crackerbox and Suzy. They make them on site. They use red rubber and they're closely trimmed so you don't have any of those stamped edges that you don't want. They're on thick foam and the rubber stamps are deeply etched, which gives it such a nice clean print, and I love that. I also just love supporting small businesses, that they are very generous with their angel policy. So please go check out Crackerbox and Suzy Stamps at rubberartstamps.com. So I don't have the Flirty Flamingo ink pen, but what I do have is the Stampin' Up! Blender pens, and so I just use a little bit by tapping on the ink pad or just an ink drop if I wanted to do it that way as well, and it gives me the color I want to match without actually having the ink pen available. Then I wanted just a tiny bit of color on her collar. I didn't want to color it in fully, so I just added a little bit of pink and blended that out. And then to kind of hide the harshness of her shirt line, I'm going to do a couple cuts to put a circle around the stamped image so that it's just a little bit less obvious where that line is. It still doesn't hide it completely, but it makes it a little bit softer. I don't know if you can read the stamp sentiment, but it says, "Laugh and the world laughs with you, cackle maniacally, and people back away slowly." Ha, I love it so much. So I wanted to keep this sentiment inside the cards. I think it's really funny, and so I wanted it to be kind of a surprise on the inside. But I didn't want to leave the front blank, and it's supposed to be a thinking of you kind of cards. And really, I did think of some friends when I thought of these cards, although they're not your obvious typical thinking of you cards, and it doesn't say that anywhere on them. I really liked just adding these word dies on the front. So I hope that you enjoyed these cards. I really enjoyed working with Crackerbox and Suzy Stamps. I love these stamps and how they turned out. I'm really happy with all of it. I added a little bit of bling there on the end. It's kind of hard to see some of the sparkle and shine I did add, but it is there, and it's just those little touches that make them unique. Thank you so much for watching today, and be sure and visit all the other great videos on the Hop and comment to enter into the drawing.